Hello and welcome to the Midgar Press. My name is Jay. So, I'm gonna let y'all know up front. At the end of this session, it was a TPK. This session ran almost 5 hours. Okay, almost 5 hours. Combat at the very end alone took 2.5 hours. We have a lot to go over. So you better buckle in and get ready because we got a lot to go over. I'm gonna try and keep it as short as possible, but there's so much that happened. Okay. Oh, where do I start? So, looking at the map, okay, that's why I have it here. Down here in 815, that is where the players are. That is where they finished last session. They are in the Drakemore Pass. They finished right here. And that's where we started this session off. Now, they had the map. Okay, so we spent about 20 minutes going over this map. I explained to them what they know of this area because they're not from here, not by one bit. They're not from here. The only thing that they know is that they were going to the city of Eternos, which is 7.12, right here. Okay, that is where they're going. But they didn't. I'll just throw that out there. So they asked about what that is at 714 right here. And I told them it is Starfall Keep. Or actually, I didn't even tell them what the name was. I told them it was a castle. That's all I said. Currently, the time in character was like late in the afternoon. It was like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So it was late in the day. Wherever they were going, they needed to get going so they could rest up for the night. And that's what they did. They they continued on. They decided when they got to 8.14, they decided to go left so that way they could go to the castle and rest. But they caused all kind of havoc when they got to the castle too, I'll tell you that. So they went, instead of going right and just camping out somewhere, they decided to go left. So as they were approaching the city or the keep, they were very nervous. I explained to them that there were other people going in and out of this keep. There were guards, of course, stationed where they should be because it's a castle, it's a keep, it's some kind of military installation. There's definitely going to be guards somewhere. And that's what they saw. They saw guards going in, they saw guards coming out, they saw guards stationed at the front, they saw guards inside the actual keep itself. Now, as they were going in, a couple of my players, one of them specifically, he was like, I need a drink. One of them specifically knocked on the open doorway. Like, doors were open, people were going in and out, and she's playing her character in a way that, trying to be polite for the moment. So she walked past the guard, knocked on the door. The guard turned around and says, "Can I help you?" And they have a conversation for a moment, but it's basically, look, the door's open, just go on in, you're fine. So she goes on in. As they go further inside, it's a long hallway, and it takes them to a great hall. Essentially, it's a very large hall that has, very exquisitely carved. you can tell that it was done by dwarves. So as a couple of them, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna go and make our way around, because I told them that there's like vendors on the inside. Like there's several carts that are set up for people to either get something to drink, get something to eat, and then there's little trinkets and whatnot. So we had one player who wanted to get something to drink, one player who decided that they were going to go try to purchase some stuff, third player who said, well, I want to go steal some stuff. Of course, you've always got that one player. But the player who knocked on the door, she decided, because she's a knight, her character is a knight. So she felt the need to let the people of this installation know that they're doing a terrible job at protecting people along the road because they found a dead person and they were attacked by goblins. So after a little convincing of one of the guards, she tells the guard to take her to his captain, and he does. So we'll go off on that tangent real quick. This character, the knight, she like I said, she gets one of the guards to take her to the captain. So they walk, they go through like a common area where there's other guards, kind of like at leisure, but there's also plenty that are on duty. Goes back into this little ale room of a closet, and it's fairly wide. There's a handful of guards or service people in there. So the guard takes her over and says, Captain Finley, we have a concerned citizen, basically. And they converse for a second, where the knight, my player, she's like, how dare you all say that you all are doing like a great job at protecting people when we just got attacked by goblins and there's a dead person just laying in the road. And they go back and forth for a little bit, role playing, because that's what I love, role playing. They go back and forth for a little bit. And at one point, the captain, he is taking a drink. And her character decides to push the drink all the way up so the rest of it, falls out onto the captain of the guard. And of course, as you would know, mischief has happened. So the captain grabs the character by the armor, pulls in tight, like they're face to face, and basically says, you're lucky that the Lord Commander's not here. Lord Commander Bloodhold, he would have something to say about this, but I'm gonna let you off easy. So in that moment, I gave to the players that the castle's Lord Commander name was Bloodhold, because earlier, before the knight had asked to see the captain and whatnot, she had asked, what's the name of this installation? And I had said, oh, as the guard responding, oh, this is Bloodhold Keep. Starfall Keep. And I did that on purpose because I wanted that to kind of seed into their minds, like, wait, did you just say Bloodhold? What? I wanted that to seed in there so that way they could fester on it and maybe inquire about it later. So, yeah, the captain, he says, Lord Commander Bloodhold would say something different, blah, blah, blah. Basically tells her, get out of here, and I'll make sure to send an extra patrol or two out there. And that's what he does. He calls to another guard. Guard stands up. Captain Finley tells her, hey, go make sure there's extra patrols out there, make sure, we're sweeping up the goblins. So she runs off and, yada, yada, yada. That's what she does. But once the captain is done with my player character, with the knight, the guard that took her to Captain Finley now escorts her back to the Great Hall. So we'll cue to my player character who is wanting a drink. So he wanted a drink. So I said that there was definitely somebody in there who was set up with, like a vendor cart, ale or tea and just some snacks. So he's over there and he's kind of, as he's eating and buying food and stuff like that and drinks, he's inquiring, what's the latest rumors? What have you heard about this? What do you know about that kind of thing? And I was prepared. So I gave my player characters, I gave them a couple things. So they talked to Bob Ironside. Yes, I named the dwarf Bob. Why? Because I love naming things Bob. It's such a fun name, Bob. But anyways, after, a little drinking and whatnot, one of the other player characters decided to join, and they were able to get some information from Bob. One, they know that there's treasure in the Bloodhold Keep, or Starfall Keep, as they're calling it now. They know that there's some ancient evil that was unleashed a while back, and it's down there just festering. But they know that there was a star that fell into the mountainside, going deep into the mines underneath the keep. And that is why they now call it Starfall Keep. So they gained some good information, and I was hoping that might entice them a little bit, not to sidetrack them from their current quest, but maybe something to bring them back later on and potentially do. That was my goal. We had one player going around and buying some stuff like bandages and whatnot, but unfortunately they didn't have enough money. So the thief of the party decided, hey, I'm gonna go steal some stuff. And he rolled very well. He really did. So he was able to get what did he get? He got an apple, he got pocket bacon, he got a small trinket that plays haunted music, and he was able to steal bandages. So he had a really good night. And it's a good thing he did, because the next day, like in character, was not good for him. So the knight has now returned back to the Great Hall. They all conversed on everything that they learned, and they were talking to Bob and asking Bob where he plans on going next. And Bob said he was going to the Misty Keep, and that's over here. So they're right here at 714. Bob was going to go over to 1112. Basically, he travels back and forth between the two keeps to not only take care of just the random citizens, travelers, adventurers along the road, but to take care of the guardsmen of both keeps. Just a little bit of stuff here and there. Nothing too bad, of course. And that's what he told them. He said that he was going to make a trip to Eternos first because he needs to stock up on some supplies. So the player character was like, we could just kind of escort Bob and go to Eternos like we were, originally planning, and then Bob can go on his merry way. And they thought about it, and they were like, yeah, we'll do that. So they went ahead and rested for the night in character. And the next day, they were going to take off. So, and this is where stuff starts to go sideways quickly. So first off, the entrance way. Let me actually find the map that I have for it. Because it'll make so much more if you see the map. Save. Desktop. Nope. There we go. Aha. So this is what they entered into. So one is the great, like it's a very long, like entrance hallway. Two is where this is the Great Hall. This is where they stayed the night. 8 is the common area, and then 9 is the little ale house back room where the knight had encountered Captain Finley. So in the morning, they had said, you know, hey, let's go ahead and let's check about getting some horses or something. That way we don't have to walk. I said, sure, why not? I'll allow for it. I've got that planned out. So over here in 3, this is where Oland, the staff, sorry, it's the stable master Oland. He resides down here. So Bob had came down, got his horses to pull his cart, and another player came down to get some horses or donkeys or something like that. Well, they didn't have enough money. They didn't. So my thief of the game, of the party, he said, I've got this. So he goes in there and he's like, hey, Captain Finley needs his horses now. I forget what the reasoning was on why, but he was able to roll a bluff high enough that allowed him to basically fake it. He lied to the NPC, and the NPC believed it. So Oland, he goes and gets 4 horses. He hands 2 to the character, to my player character, and he grabs 2 himself, and they get to right about here. They get it right about here, and that's when as they get out there, Oland, the stable master, is like, well, where's Captain Finley? He's not right here. Another character walked up and was like, oh, Captain Finley's outside. He's waiting out there. Now, I portrayed it like Captain Finley wouldn't go out there without his horse. Like, there's something going on here. So I had the player character, my player, roll bluffing again at a Bane, because that's disadvantage. It didn't make sense. He failed. So Oland was grabbing back for the other reins because he's afraid this person's going to take off the horses. So the player decides, hey, I'm going to kick Oland in the balls and I'm going to take the horses and book it. I was like, sure, go ahead and roll for it. So we did some opposed rolling. I, as the GM, won. And Olin starts to scream out, guards, guards, these people are trying to take my horses. So he runs, like the character runs out the hallway, out the entrance of the fort of the keep. And the guards come over, they're talking for a moment. And Olin, the stable master, takes the horses back in. The guards rush out through the front. They do not see the player, he's already gone. He has booked it. So the other player characters, they have now, they're just following along and they're leaving the keep as well. So it was a good try, but he failed. It was a good try, but he failed. So that being said, we are now like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into session. And I rolled on an open, encounter table. Nothing happened. So they left the fort, or they left Starfall Keep, and they're now in 8.13. So they're essentially descending down the mountain, and they can see the city of Eternos there in front of them, like miles and miles in front of them, because it's a very large city. It's grandeur in size. And they're coming down the slope of the mountain, so they can see it. Like, there's no question about it. They can see it. But as they got to 8.12, I did another random roll. And this time I came up with something. But it wasn't a monster. It was just this was supposed to be a non-combat encounter, okay? I rolled a non-combat encounter. There was combat. So I rolled on the table that they would see a small crowd of people staring at 6 guards that are standing next to 3 like cages. Now within the cages were people. They were shard seekers. Now if you watched episode 1, which was my session 0 talking about the campaign, the shattered one is the deity who is broken into shards, and the shard seekers are looking for the shards to potentially put back the shattered one. So, and they're willing to do anything. They're willing to do whatever it takes to find these shards. So, long story short, the player characters. Sorry, these allergies are getting me. Sorry. The player characters see 3 men in cages being guarded by 6 guards with a small crowd of people just around. And I honestly did not think that would entice them. I stand mistaken. I am 100% mistaken, because as the cart was about halfway through, like passing them, my thief drops off the caravan, like the cart, blends into the crowd, rolled a successful sneaking, blends into the crowd. My player who was befriending the dwarf, Bob Ironside, he looks at him and says, "Do you trust me?" And he's like, as far as I can throw you. He says, okay, excellent. Just keep going. Do what you're doing. We'll be back. He gets he gets off the cart with his bow in hand, notches it, and shoots one of the guards. Like, I didn't even get a chance to explain to them what the guards even look like. They could have been like top tier assassinating guards, and they would have no idea, because I didn't get a chance to explain what the guards looked like. It was 5 it was 5 regular guards and a guard captain. And that guard captain, he hits hard. Really hard. So we go into initiative. Now, I'm not going to give you a play-by-play for each round. I'm going to let you know that combat, like I said, took 2.5 hours. It took 15 rounds. This is the longest combat I personally have ever GM'd. Other than, okay, now I have GM'd longer combats, but that's because it was like gladiator style or it was final boss. This was a non-combat encounter that took 2.5 hours in a TPK. So let me just give it to you straight. The player character that shot the bow and arrow, he hit the guard captain. Guard captain was not happy. Get them! Get them now! So the guards run towards the party. Now, we have a bard in the party, and she is fantastic. She used her ability to, oh, what's the ability? It's battle cry. No, it's not battle cry. It's not battle cry. What is it? Sorry, I should have had this already. But it allows her to give either her party a boon to their rolls, which is advantage, or she gives the enemies a bane to their rolls, which is disadvantage. And if it wasn't for that, like if it wasn't for that, my rolls as the guards were terrible because I was rolling at a bane. And I would hit once every couple, but it was not. Oh, it's a musician. That's what it is. It gives you the opportunity to give all allies within 10 meters a boon, or all enemies in 10 meters a bane. So, uh, but because of the bane on the guards, the guards could not hit whatsoever. Like they were getting a couple shots in here and there, but that was it. So between the party doing some evades, doing some dodging, doing some parrying, they were able to survive for a little while. But slowly, the party fell. Slowly. At one point, one character goes down. Another character goes down. And only had 4. So this session, I forgot to say that. This session, I had 4 characters, 4 players. One missed because he had work, and the other, she took the night off basically. So I only had 4 player characters, okay, and they were going up against 6 guards, 5 regular, and a guard captain. And I mean, when he was like, I jump off and I shoot an arrow, I'm like, well, who am I to stop you from having fun? Okay. But gosh, like I really could not hit them. I really could not. And finally, the bard ran out of willpower, so she could not cast her she couldn't play her music to give the guards a bane to their rolls. So, like I said, one player character falls. Now, and here's the thing: when as the GM, I do death saving throws, and I don't tell the player what they get. I don't like the metagaming aspect of it. I don't. So that being said, I was keeping track as we were doing death saves. So yeah, one character goes down and they end up biting the dust. The bard runs out of willpower, rolls a performance, pretends to stab herself in a suicide action, and the guards believe it. So she's resting, so she's down on the ground, pretending to be dead. It was funny. And then so one PC down, one pretending to be down, and then two left. The knight was squaring up with the guard captain the entire time. The guard captain took down her shield. She held up her shield to protect her as a parry, destroyed the shield, and eventually dealt enough damage to take her down. And it was all very slow, like as far as like, because like I said, it took 15 rounds for all this to fully happen. It was crazy. I've never had it take this long. But it is what it is. So then the third player character goes down, and there's only one left, and it's the bard. And that's because she's still rolling to pretend to be asleep or to be dead. Well, they're talking to Bob, and they're like, Bob, we saw you with these people that attacked us and killed a couple of my guardsmen. He's like, the guard captain's talking to him. He's like, you can either take the sword now, or we can go back to the keep and sort this out there. And Bob, he's like, oh, let's go back to the keep. You're not killing me. No, 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 no. I had nothing to do with this. I don't know who they were. They were supposed to be protecting me on the way to Eternos. Like, I hired them for a purpose. Why they attacked you, I don't know. So the guards were taking the bodies of the player characters and throwing them onto the top of the cards. So they do the two of the player characters, and they get to the bard, throws the bard up there. Bard makes a sound. So the guards get up there and they basically start double tapping, slashing or stabbing at the player characters to make sure that they are gone, unalived. So the bard stands up, tries to do something, fails. So she gets cut down again. She's at 0 HP. They double tap. They kill everybody. Okay. And that's where we left it. I forgot to mention that the thief, when he blended into the crowd, he got all three people out of the cages and let them go. But that's the only thing that they were successful at. They were able to successfully get the three people out of the cages, but they all died. Like, it was a TPK. Now, granted, like I said, I had two players that weren't there last night, so it's not a true TPK. One was at work, one just took the night off. So it wasn't a true TPK, but it was a TPK in session. So I'm left with, I don't know what to do. These characters just died. I'm really left with two options. Do I allow them to continue on using these same characters, but back at the keep, or do I make them roll new characters? Now, I will tell you, at the beginning of this campaign, I told them roll up two characters because the game is deadly. Now, granted, I didn't think they would try to fight 6 guards that weren't doing anything to them. Like, I didn't think they would. My fault. My bad. But yeah, I'm left with, do I allow their characters to survive? If they do survive, they're going to take a severe injury, which there's a whole roll table for that in Dragonbane. It's really awesome. And they can continue on with a quest of some sort after they get a fine talking to by the Lord Commander for attacking them. Maybe I'll make them go in the mines to pay off their debt for attacking people. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know. Or I have them start new characters at the keep. I just haven't decided yet. I'm actually going to let my players decide. I'm going to give them two options. So I'm going to give them a couple days and let them decide on what they're going to do. And we'll go from there. But man, what a wild night that was. I could not believe it. I had so much fun. I really did. It was actually my birthday that we did this. So on my birthday, we had a TPK. So these are my glasses. These are my glasses. So yeah, like this video, please. Tell me what you think in the comments about all this chaos. What would you have done differently as a GM? Or as a GM, tell me what's your decision? Do you allow them to continue as their characters but with a severe injury, or do we just let them roll new characters and play the new characters? I'm kind of thinking of leaning towards the severe injury because I want the role play aspect, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll definitely let you all know next session what happens. So until next time, please like this video, comment down below, and as always, my friends, my family, my fellow nerds, live on and game on.